This is FightFans Radio.
What's up, MMA fans? Welcome to episode 47 of the MMA Pulse. It is October 24th, and Jared keeps making beer things on the icons, and it's distracting me. Please stop it.
Do you want a beer? Is that what you're trying to say?
Maybe.
Awesome.
All I know is it's distracting me. It's like there's a beer on my screen, and it's not for real.
Do you keep trying to grab it?
I did, and I almost knocked my screen over. So F you.
Awesome.
All right. Well, now that I got sidetracked, if you guys would like to call into the show, the number is 410-988-6525, and our email address is mmapulse@mmavalor.com. Tonight, get your butts into the chat room. If you need the link, go to Twitter and find me, because I really can't do anything about it over here. It's really long, and I just can't. Yeah, it'd take the whole show to say it. But get in here, because we're going to give away a T-shirt. We're just going to take it right off of Jared's back and give it to somebody. So get in there now. That didn't work.
You're taking my shirt off my back?
Yep.
That's
You
not
didn't
nice.
read that? You didn't read that in the contract?
Damn it. No.
Well, sorry,
I hate
man.
you.
I hope you're wearing a nice shirt. Not some holy one that someone's going to get.
Well, about that.
Oh, jeez. Don't tell me you're not wearing a shirt.
As long as people like halter tops.
Yikes. How about a wife beater?
What are
We're
those?
giving away a wife beater. Woo! All right.
Oh, I have an inappropriate comment to
Let's
go
just
along with
move
that.
on from that one. So today we're going to talk about the women's division that might be coming to the UFC fairly soon. Some recent fight announcement, and also a couple of the events that are happening this week, and we're just going to do a quick roundup on them. There is no UFC. We got to wait until November for that, but we'll survive. Hey,
Maybe.
Jared's in the chat room.
Yes. It told me Mr. Buttons was profane, so...
It did?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, maybe because it has the word butt in there.
Probably.
I don't know. That's pretty ghetto, though.
It's discrimination. I'm gonna write a letter to somebody about it.
There you go. Write your congressman.
Yes. Vote for me. I will take write-in votes for president.
I'll write it in there. I'll put Mr. Buttons for president.
What kind of talk show is this, by the way?
I don't know, man. We really should probably start talking some MMA, huh? Hey, so Dana White says the UFC is going to have women's division. Go. That's where you talk.
Okay. No, I think it'll be. It's probably going to be a while. I mean, it sounds like the contract with Strikeforce has to be up. I was reading an article just last week that said something about unless Zuffa and Strikeforce in their contract, none of the current Strikeforce fighters can go over to the UFC. So I'm sure that's leading up to that, but it'll still be a novelty. I think when it gets into the UFC, I don't think it'll be. You're not going to see a women's fight on every single card. I don't think once they move to the UFC, at least not at first. But it's good to see that it's happening. I think there is becoming some more talent, and it is it is needed.
Yeah, I mean, basically, this is all because of Ronda Rousey. I mean, I think Dana White made that pretty clear in the article on SI.com. And he said he's committed to it and that it's going to happen. Obviously, when it happens is just going to all depend on, Strikeforce. As long as Strikeforce is around, it's not going to happen just because Ronda Rousey is arguably like the second biggest draw, if not the first biggest draw that Strikeforce has going right now, and there's no way Strikeforce is going to let that happen. They weren't going to let Gilbert Melendez go over there, so why would they let Ronda Rousey go over there? As far as a novelty, I there is no way that there's gonna be fights on it every card, a women's fighter on every card. There's probably only going to be one division. The division that Strikeforce has is what I think the 135. That's pretty much the only division they're going to have. I can't see them, bringing in a bunch of different divisions. It'll just be that one. And yeah, I mean, there'll probably be like one every couple events, and it'll probably involve the champion for the most part. I mean, you might see another fight here and there, but yeah, it's not going to be. You're not going to have like 50 women signed by the UFC or anything like that. But it is good to know that if and when Strikeforce, rolls into the UFC, that the women's MMA that Strikeforce has built up or helped build up isn't going to just disappear, and that the UFC is going to bring it in.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting if they did like a new weight, like a 140 weight class for women. That way you could have a lot of the females that are at 145 drop down to 140, and the ones that are at 135 not have to cut. I mean, I don't know. You never really hear a whole lot about the females' weight cuts going to fight. So I would be surprised if the women are like men, where some of them are dropping 20, 30 pounds before they fight. I would say most of them are dropping maybe 10, 15 pounds at the most leading up to their fight. I mean, I could be wrong on that, but I don't see the huge weight cuts, which is where a lot of the disadvantage comes in the men's divisions.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's always possible. I mean, I think that if there was to be a first fight, if it were to happen anytime soon, I think the UFC would want to make the Rousey Cyborg fight, which I'm not sure if Cyborg could make 135. I mean, they that's what they want her to, because obviously that Rousey's a champion there, but they might have to make it a 140 division and have a champion there, but who knows? It would be interesting if somewhere down the line, if they if it does happen, they could do like an Ultimate Fighter with women fighters and help build the division that way.
Yeah, it could possibly happen. I don't. I think it's you'd have to get a lot more women involved.
Yeah, I mean, anything like that would be something that would happen way down the line. I mean, I think we'd be lucky if Rousey were to fight in the UFC, by the middle of next year. I mean, that would probably be. I mean, you got to figure she's going to be on this so-called stacked January card. So if that's the last show of Strikeforce, I mean, it'll still be a couple months before she actually fights. So
Yeah,
whatever.
it's not gonna be. It's gonna be June, July. I would say at the earliest.
Yeah. definitely at the earliest. I mean, but it is good to hear those words from Dana White. I mean, for the longest time he was totally against it, and now he's singing a new tune.
Well, of course he is. There's money there to be made. Of course
You
he's going to sing a new tune.
you just knew that that would happen eventually. It just had to build to a certain point, and that right, fighter had to come around, and that would be Ronda Rousey.
Yep.
So let's talk about some of the recent fight announcements. There's been a couple in the last day or two. Let's start with there's two of them that just got added to UFC 155, and the first one is Forrest Griffin versus Phil Davis. Griffin was originally supposed to be facing Chael Sonnen, and then Sonnen is now gonna coach the Ultimate Fighter against John Jones. So Phil Davis is gonna step in and fight Griffin on the co-main event of that card. What do you think of that fight announcement?
Yeah, I'm not excited for that next fight.
Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting how. I mean, I didn't see that one coming. I think most people thought it was going to be Stephan Bonner.
Yeah, I think Phil Davis is going to run through Forrest, is my opinion. I don't even think it's going to be much of a fight.
Well, and that was my first thought, and I started reading some people that were saying that Forrest Griffin had the better stand-up of Phil Davis, and I was thinking, does he? Are we watching the Forrest Griffin?
Yeah,
I'm thinking that unless Davis gets sloppy from the top and Griffin catches him in a submission, that Davis takes Griffin down and grounds and pounds him, and he does that weird throwing his hands up in the air to try to stop it, and then the fight gets.
the flailing move.
Dude, Griffin just flail. His arms are just like ah. It's horrible.
Yes, it is.
Fighters, it's just downright horrible. So yeah, I don't I don't know about that fight. I mean, I think it is a good. I think it's a good fight. I just don't think it's a good fight for Griffin.
Yeah, I don't think it is either. I mean, I don't know what it gets Forrest. To me, it doesn't really get Phil Davis a whole lot either, in my opinion. But
You know what I was thinking with it is that it's a name fight for Phil Davis if he were to win, and then vice versa. I mean, if Griffin pulls off a decision or wins somehow, I mean, I think that gives him like 3 fights out of 4 that he's won or something like that, and just the winner's going to get bumped up into the top 10, top you want to call it.
yeah,
And I don't think it's not a step down for either fighter. I don't think. Just an odd,
yeah,
but I mean, that 155 card's just stacked.
it is. And I'll be there. I'm taking donations for tickets right now. So if anybody would like to donate a ticket to the cause, I will buy you a drink.
I will call Dana White and hope that he answers the phone.
Oh, okay. Well, let me know how that goes.
I will. I will. Speaking of 155, there was another fight just announced today for the undercard, and that is Michael Johnson versus Miles Jury. And at first glance, I thought, why are they making this matchup? But after looking at it, I think I think it makes sense. I mean, Miles Jury's undefeated, and Johnson's coming off a big win, and I kind of see it as they're not throwing Johnson a bone, but this is a winnable fight for him, and over an undefeated guy that just gives him another push up the ladder.
Yeah, I think it's gonna. I think it'll be an interesting fight. I think it's a good fight for both of them. I think Miles Jury should make his nickname Lane, so it could be Miles Lane. But I know that's retarded, but for me, it's entertaining. But yeah, it'll be interesting because Michael
Oh.
Johnson's fought some tough people his last three fights. So fighting a guy that's kind of fairly unknown, yeah, he's undefeated, but he's only had his one fight in the UFC, which was at a Ultimate Fighter finale. So it'll be interesting to see how he does because to me, it's a huge step up in competition for Miles Jury.
Yeah, I mean, and if you look at it that way, that Miles Jury's only had the one fight. I mean, you can argue that it's a step down for Johnson, and I don't necessarily agree or disagree with that. I mean, going from Danny Castillo to Miles Jury, I mean, I see where they're going at, but it's not like Johnson's, coming off a win against a top five guy, and now you're putting him in there against a top 20 guy. So um, I don't necessarily have a one way or opinion on that one.
Well, you're wrong.
Wow. Hey, I'm always wrong.
Yes, you are.
It's okay. It's okay, man.
It's okay.
It's okay. The next fight we're gonna talk about is Pat Barry versus Shane Del Rosario that's gonna be on the Ultimate Fighter 16 finale. Probably somewhere on the main card. I can't see that one not being on the main card.
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be the co-main, right?
Well, I mean the co-main you got to think is gonna be is gonna be the actual.
Oh, that's true. The Ultimate Fighter
Yeah.
winner.
But so I mean, I think they only usually show four fights on the finales because I think they try to squeeze it in like 2 hours if I'm not mistaken. So that one will probably be either the opening fight of the card or maybe the the second one. But I can't imagine they would put that one on the undercard because someone's getting knocked out on that one.
Oh, I'll say that's gonna be a hell of a fight, in my opinion. You
When
got two guys that are kickboxers basically coming to bang with each other.
for sure. And that one's um I mean, they're both coming off losses, and Barry's coming off. I mean, he's won like one fight over his last four, so he's really treading water in with the UFC in general, and really needs to go out there and I mean, he's just one of those guys that lives and dies by the sword, and unfortunately, recently he's been dying more than living.
Yeah, yeah, it's not been good for him lately, but
It's been a little tough for him.
yeah. The other looking at that card, I hadn't really paid much attention to the card, and I just pulled it up. There's some good fights on that Ultimate Fighter 16 card.
Yeah, they're. I mean, they got Mike Pyle and James Head.
Yeah, the Brookins Poirier fight I think's gonna be a good matchup.
Yeah, that one. Brookins is hit or miss with. I mean, it just seems like some fights he's really looks really good, and then his last fight he didn't look very good, but that had to do with the fact of who he was fighting, just the striker.
Mhm.
You got Nick Catone versus T.J. Wahlberger. That should be a good fight. Tim Elliott and Jared.
Papazon or whatever.
And then obviously, what I had made mention of this earlier on Twitter was there's already 9 fights that are announced for this thing, so 10 if you include the finals. So
Yep.
it's like going to be very many people from that house out of the 16. There ain't going to be very many people you're going to see on this card. I mean, I'm not sure like if as the season goes on, there's people that start to get injured, or what. But usually, I mean, the the last Ultimate Fighter finale and pretty much all of the card except for I think 2.5 fights had guys from the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, that is interesting. maybe just because those cards have gotten kind of low ratings, they're trying to change that up.
I mean, I could see them probably only having three, including the final on there. You know,
Yeah, at the most probably.
have the guys who lose. You know, anybody who seems to make it into the the the, the semifinals is usually going to be on the card. So I mean, that really could be the two losers of the semifinals will fight somebody. So those guys in the house are probably sweating it. You know, that were in the house, I should say, are probably sweating it, hoping they get a phone call pretty soon if they already have.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they already know if they're gonna fight because they won't announce the fights until like the week before, like officially announce the fights. So
I mean, because I can't imagine they're going to go more than 12 fights for this. So I mean, you really only got those three spots, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm planning on being there. So
man, I'll tell you what. Looking at the card, looking from 154 through 155, there's gonna be a lot of great MMA on during that 6 weeks.
they've crammed a lot in. I mean, a lot of really good fights, starting with no, I think it's November 10th with the fuel card that's in China. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, there's some decent one. There's nothing on that card that just jumps out to me. Like, there's some decent fights, but nothing that I'm excited about.
yeah, but for definitely 150, it's I mean, those are three really good cards.
Yeah, 154 UFC on Fox.
Yeah,
Um,
this card.
what's that?
Said I forgot about the Fox card. Yeah, that
Yeah,
one's that too.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, Henderson Diaz, Hu Gustafsson, Pin. Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm getting excited just thinking about it.
Oh, yeah, that'll be a good one. Um, Going back to the Ultimate Fighter finale, how do you see the Carwin Nelson? By the way, I know we got a while to for it, but
I I hope Carwin destroys him and becomes the first man to knock out Roy.
see, that's what worries me about the fight is that Nelson's Nelson's taken a beating and hasn't been knocked out, and Carwin. I mean, he's a wrestler, but he wants to stand and he wants to stand and bang, and it worries me that the fight will get into the later rounds and to see how Carwin handles Nelson if the fight were to go to the ground and Carwin be on his back. I mean, you got to think if I mean I know that he hyperventilated and freaked out. That's why one of the reasons why Lesnar was able to submit him, but I'm thinking that Roy Nelson is a tad bit better than Lesnar on the.
Yeah, well, I take that back. Roy Nelson has been knocked out once by Andrei Arlovsky.
Oh yeah, he did.
So that'll be but and I think Shane punches a hell of a lot harder than
He does. He does. If there was ever a fight that Nelson would want to not stand and trade and actually try to use his jujitsu, this would be the fight.
yeah. Hey, we have a winner of the T-shirt.
Do we? My whole chat room disappeared. I think um I think somebody pulled the plug on it on my end.
Oh.
Wait, never mind. There it is. I'm back now.
Yeah, when you close out the window, that's what happens.
Bastard. Shut up. He can't win.
Why not? Just because he's associated with the website doesn't mean he can't win.
Because your shirt will be too big for him.
Oh, whatever. Did you just call me fat?
Big boned.
Oh, okay. And yes, we already talked about women in the UFC.
Women are in the UFC? What are we talking? Ring girls? Dun-dun-dun. Oh.
I'm okay with more of them in the UFC, absolutely.
More ring girls.
Yes.
Great. Great, 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 great. So there's no UFC this weekend, but there is MMA. Are you going to be watching any of it?
Bellator.
There is Bellator. There's also MFC on Access TV.
Ah,
And then Cage Warriors is on MMA Junkie. Not that I'm encouraging you to go there.
good to know.
Yeah, there's some pretty good fights on both MFC and Bellator. I mean, for the Bellator card, it's the semifinals of the welterweight tournament. So Romulus is fighting, and Lyman Good is also fighting separate fights. And then at MFC 35, Ultimate Fighter, Joseph Hennel is fighting for their vacant title. So that should be fun.
Yes, there's also here in Seattle. There's Friday night fights, Muay Thai fights.
Oh, there's some weight.
So
You got lots of fights out there. I mean, with between boxing and MMA, and then you got Muay Thai. I mean, Cage Sport puts on, it's like every other month is an MMA, and then the other are a boxing fight.
yeah, the only thing that kind of pisses me off about the local events, the local MMA events, it's like they almost always do it on the same night as a big UFC card.
You know, that's actually I've had a conversation with a company about that, and it really just seems to all come down to dumb luck. I mean, they don't necessarily like purposely plan that, but it does seem to happen. I mean, twice now I've gone to local shows, and they're UFC's that day, and it's just like, really, guys? I mean, you would think that they would want it to not be on those days, but it just seems to be, dumb luck. I mean, they book these things far in advance, so do the UFC, and it just seems to happen. But it is very very lame.
Yeah, it's like I want to go and support, but I'm like,
I know. Our chief also tells us that there is an event in Richmond, the CFF C18. So if you're in Richmond, Virginia, you better go watch that. Crickets.
I'll see if I can get work to fly me out there for some reason. Make up an excuse.
That like there is a cell tower broken out there, and you need to go out there and fix it.
Well, we have a call center there, so it's not too far fetched.
Call somebody and tell them the system's broke and that you need to go.
I know I'm not an engineer, but I need to go fix it.
Go fix it. Jeez. All right, I'm pretty sure that we've botched the crap out of this show. So
We have. This was I apologize. This is not a normal show for all those who are new listeners.
Wednesday is Halloween, and I need candy. So all right, okay, it's not me. I need to take my kids trick or treating, so I'm not going to be able to have a show. So,
Yeah, and I won't be on the next week.
what?
I know that work thing, making me travel and stuff.
I'm gonna do a whole show in 2 weeks dedicated to bashing the shit out of you.
That'll be awesome.
I'll I'll get my the one person in the chat room to come and do the show or something.
Yeah, we may have like a quality show then.
No, I'd have to be off the show for that. All right, I'm gonna stop now. Make sure you follow the show on Twitter at the MMA Pulse. Follow me at Josh Wood MMA. Follow Jared at Mr. Buttons WA. Follow Fight Fans Radio at Fight Fans Radio, and MMA Valor as well. Make sure you check out MMA Valor because there's lots of cool stuff on there. And well, I need the hits. Shameless plug. All right, I'm out of here. Are you done? Got anything to say there, Jared? Guess that's a no. All right, play the music.